Welcome back to Infinite Roleplay. My name is Nelson. This is the second time that I'm doing this. If you've seen the first one, I do apologize for the error in the mic. I was trying not to wear my headset, but I apparently need to. So, let's get back to the subject at hand. This is a video reply to one of Nercharchy's recent videos on the GM911. They were speaking about a question that was posed to them where one of their viewers asked them, how do they create interesting encounters for low-level players without killing them, like level 1 players, right? There's a few ideas that I have and a few methods that I've already used in the past. One of the biggest and easiest things as far as combat is concerned is minions. In previous editions of, in the previous edition of Dungeons and Dragons, minions were 1/5 the difficulty of anything of their equal challenge rating or equal level, and they only had one single hit point. You can do that for your players as well, especially at lower levels. The payoff is not proportionate because the CR system works differently, but who cares? Throw minions at them. Give a monster of CR equal or lower than your players, give it one hit point, and then divide the XP they give by 5. It's a little bit more housekeeping prior to the game, but when game time comes, it's really easy. You have, one hit. Oh, you hit it. It's dead. It's done for. It's gone. You kill it. Okay, you hit it. Describe how you kill it. Don't even roll damage. Damage is not necessary. Or you can do something that I do, which is just describe more than they mechanically are. If you have one creature, describe that one creature as 5, as 4, as 3, as 2. It doesn't matter. The only reason it matters, honestly, is to make your players feel stronger. If you have one creature with 5 hit points and you describe it as 5 creatures, every time they deal a total of 1 hit point of damage, they kill one. Doesn't matter which one they're hitting, they kill one. If you have a creature with 10 hit points and you describe it as 5, same thing. Every 2, it drops. One of them drops dead, even though mechanically you're only throwing a single creature at them. Now, this makes more sense with bigger creatures because they have more hit points. So let's go for something that has 30 hit points. All right, a 30 hit point creature, one single 30 hit point creature, probably, I don't know, a brown bear has like 34. So throw a brown bear, CR1 creature at your party of level 1 players. That's a kind of encounter that could possibly kill them, right? That's an encounter that could possibly kill them. But describe that one brown bear as several brown bear cubs, maybe. Maybe their mama is not around and they stumble upon a few cubs. It's got 37 hit points. Describe them as 3. So roughly every 10 hit points of total damage, one of the cubs is killed. Brown bears have multi-attack. That's why they're so deadly. But have them jump up, maul, just hound your players. So where all 3 of them that are attacking only get the number of attacks allotted to the single brown bear, because mechanically, behind the screen, as it were, you're only throwing a single brown bear at them. That's what I like to do. I love to do it. If you've watched some of my plays, I have like baby versions, child versions, adolescent versions, or just scrawnier looking versions of a creature where there's multiples of them. And I swarm and I use that as a group to attack at once. It's real easy to keep track of. There's a lot less homework for you to do as a GM. And there's a lot less just math. Another way to do it, instead of just thematically splitting up a creature, if you're going to throw other creatures on them, again, describe them as weaker or just more dumb, dumber versions, weaker versions, slower versions, more clumsier versions. They mentioned drunk orcs. Maybe you have 4 drunk orcs, right? Employ damage bleed. Damage bleed being, a pool of damage, right? Again, going back to the 10 hit point monster, the 10 hit point adversary. Now, 10 hit points, it dies. But instead of throwing 3 10 hit point adversaries at your players, where you have to, oh, this one takes 4, that one takes 3, the other one takes 6. All 3 of them are still up. All 3 of them get their entire rounds, get all of their actions, and get to pounce and cut and attack and rip your players to pieces because they're just not ready for that. Well, instead of that, have damage bleed, have a pool of damage. If you have 3 creatures, each having a total of 10 hit points, create a hit point pool. The hit point pool is 30 hit points. Every time a total of 10 damage is removed from that pool, one of them dies. That way, you only have 1 damage track for your enemies to keep track of. And if you want to throw them against the bigger, meaner, I'm the boss kind of guy, instead of having it actually be a higher CR creature, you could just throw the same CR creature at them, and that one's hit points are tracked independently. He's slightly tougher than the rest. So it's less math, less damage tracks for you to keep track of as a DM. That was one of the methods used in a few different other games that I like to employ in 5th edition. Another way to challenge your players to keep them alive in these encounters while still beating them if they fail, humiliation. The Nercharchy said, strip them of their gear, right? Which is awesome. You can strip them of their gear, strip them of everything, strip them naked, leave them lying in the road if they're fighting an intelligible enemy. Of course, strip them naked, leave them lying in the road, and they wake up after an hour, which is the equivalent of a short rest. With roll some hit die for short rest recovery, and they have to get back to town and buy new stuff, get re-equipped, find ways of making money, deal with the humiliation of walking in the middle of a town, butt naked. You don't have to be butt naked, but that's just that's humiliating. Have them do that, and now they actually have a reason to go after the enemy, like a personal reason that they've humiliated them. If a player drops on the floor, have the enemy humiliate them. Go into the old school, comic book monologue villain, even if they're not the main villain. Maybe he wants to be the main villain, so he's practicing his monologuing skills, wasting his entire round after dropping an enemy to just say, yes, I am better than you. You are nothing to me. Spitting on the player's character, humiliating him at every step, putting his foot on his chest because he's down to 0 hit points. You can't do anything, right? And allow the rest of the players to do what they need to do to take that enemy out. Or if they don't take the enemy out and they get jumped and they all get dropped down to 0, let them be humiliated. Have them be drugged back to town, naked, not naked, fully geared, all their equipment doesn't matter. Have them be tied to some sort of beast of burden, a horse, an ox, a donkey, and be drugged back to town, right? Depending on how nasty you want to get or how badly you want to humiliate them. While they were being drugged, stinkies happen. Nasty. But yeah, humiliate them. And now they have like a mini story arc to get back at that enemy, and you can make the enemy a real enemy afterwards, or just give it some character, play around with it. But yeah, humiliating them. Drop them, let them feel the sting of defeat without having to lose their characters. Even give them some experience points. It's a double-edged sword. Well, I humiliated you, but since you survived, I'll give you half the experience for the encounter. Inspiration. Everyone I've played with, and even when I DM, we keep forgetting inspiration. Award it. Be generous with your inspiration. Promote roleplay, and then make them work for it a little harder every time. I know it's difficult to remember because it's a new thing, but we, as all of us, as game masters, not just the new ones, we all got to remember this inspiration stuff because it's really part of the game. Another way, the last way I'll mention right now is scare the crap out of them. Scare them. Don't even let the combat happen. And if the combat happens, let it be an easy combat. Doesn't matter. Scare them. Part of the thematics of the minions is that numbers are scary. It's like, we're outnumbered. Should we fight? And play it that way. Use those numbers and the minions, even though the encounter won't be hard. Just scare them. Scare them out of the encounter. Scare them into the encounter. Use fear to, manipulate your players, basically. Some players are I just want to fight. I just want to fight. Fine. That's fine. Most players, if they're not really good, will probably die a lot and have to live with that. But scare your players. Have a shadow. It's like a CR quarter or CR 1/2. It's a very low CR enemy. Anyway, have a shadow track them. Have the shadow pretend to be one of their shadows, hiding in one of their shadows, whispering, taunting them everywhere. Maybe the shadow is telling the group you are worthless. Every time the group is alone, or out of earshot of others, they hear that you are worthless. You are nothing. You can only hope to be heroes, but you will die. Draw your swords, and it will be the last thing you ever do. Constantly berating them. Once in a while, maybe they wake up with a strength chain. Do a stealth check while they're sleeping. And they wake up. They feel cold, the cold touch of death, and let them know, oh, you've lost a point or two of strength. Let them recover it after the long rest continues. Doesn't really matter. Scare them, taunt them, make them think. Bring back the really, really old school. Well, I'm old. I'm sorry, guys. I am. The old feeling of not knowing. That feeling of dread or that feeling of being threatened. Bring it back. Don't just kill them. This is not a video game where you die, you put in another quarter, and you play again. No. You don't have continues. You don't have, oh, I've got 3 lives. So until then, boom. As a matter of fact, that might be interesting to do. Don't actually give them lives, but give them, when they lose their characters, give them 3 chances. And when the character drops to 0, if the character is not dead right off the bat, first chance wasted, you do not have to roll death saves. You stop at 0. No death saves, but that's your first chance. It's your first strike. Let them do that 3 times until they've learned the game well enough to, gauge their own personal abilities before you start toying with their characters. Really threatening. The threat of death is real. Until then, just scare them. Scare the hell out of them. Get the scariest descriptions you can do. The scariest types of situations. And not just, the shadowy darkness, creeps across the land, or, the sun is setting in the forest, the shadows playing tricks, on your eyes. Have shadows in the forest. Have actual undead shadows in the forest. When they see the shadows move around, maybe, they see the sun setting, the shadows dancing across the floor, moving from this way to that, across your face. Every time the shadow catches your eye, you black out for a second, and you hear, you are worthless, or leave. Screw with them. Don't even have them get attacked. Just screw with them. And then maybe once during the night, a shadow tries to drain their life. And all of them together fighting one shadow. The shadow's not going to make it, but just scare them. Scare them, let them win, but scare them. It's part of the drama of storytelling. Success, pure success, and pure failure is not what we do. Look at video games. Look at good video games. Good books, good stories, good movies. They ramp up the tension and then let the tension die. Tension and release cycle, guys. That's a whole other video. I'm going to shut up. So, again, this is role playing. I've been Nathan. And until next time.